Here we go. So Delanda is another of, we are watching Brightside Global Trade TV. This is the 4th Women Business Empowerment Virtual Conference that will be available to all of you on Facebook, Instagram, and everywhere there's a channel that we're on. We will be going live with this conference next month, and we hope you'll all join to like the pages, share the pages, and I'll let you know when we're getting on, so we're all live together. So Delanda, when you think about hurt, and this is something we've talked a lot in this talk show and this group, is that rejection. When people reject you, or you feel ugly about yourself, or people don't accept who you are, it's an awful lonely feeling to be in. And then you've got to forgive those people, because if you don't forgive those people, then the only person you're hurting is yourself, because you're all mad and upset, and the only person that's being hurt is you. And therefore her book is really amazing. It talks about forgiveness, and I think she's written 5 books too. So Farther Than the Eyes Can See by Delanda McNair. It's a book about redemption, forgiveness, and love, and the love of a man and the love of God. And Delanda, I will let you do the introduction, because I know you have so many books that I don't know about. So you're on.
Well, hello, everyone. Forgive me, my voice is doing its own thing today, so it sounds different than it normally does. But I hope everyone is well. Claire, thank you. I haven't graduated to the rest of the books yet. I do have the additional titles. They are not published yet. So you're indirectly giving me that confirmation to move on, and that you didn't even realize. As it relates to the books, the message of my writings, it shares the healing gift of forgiveness, redemption, and love, of course, as just was shared with you, the love of man and the love of God. And it is intro that way because sometimes that's exactly how we do. Well, I'll put it on me. That's how I've done throughout my life. I didn't necessarily reach for God first. I looked to that relationship that I could have with a man. So with this book, these writings, I cannot take full, complete credit for them. It started in 1995. At that time, I was living in Miami, Florida. And of course, I'm like, what I'm supposed to do with this? Because I'm seeing the world. I'm doing what I want to do. But life changed. I didn't know my life was going to change as quickly as it did, but it did. God decided to visit me in my dreams one night. I had a conversation with a younger sister. And for whatever reason, that conversation folded over to dreams that were like on repeat. Every night I was having a repeat of that dream. So finally I went back to my sister and I was like, okay, the conversation we had, I'm having these dreams, and we talked about the dream. And it took me a minute to get it, but make a long story short, the more I talked about the dreams that I was having with my younger sister, it was like someone was pushing pause, and it was like, okay, this is the next part. This is the next part. This is the next part. So finally, I had to dump it, because the dreams that I was having, the conversation I was having, it was like, it will always go back to the very beginning in my dreams. And then God was giving me new information. So I'm going crazy because I was a flight attendant. So I would be on my plane, and it was almost like I was watching a movie instead of my passengers, because I could see these images of the storyline that God was giving me. So I'm like grabbing napkins. My passengers were kind enough to give me notepads because I had to write it down. So that's when I learned that I was, as it relates to my creative side, I was 3 parts: see, say, do. I was seeing it in my dreams. I was saying it, talking about it to my sister, and do, I had to write it out. And still then I wasn't getting it. I had never written, never even journaled as a kid at that point. So it took me a minute to get it. So fast forward, I finally got it. And I was like, okay, God, if you put it here, I'll write it, but it won't have my picture and it won't have my name, because I'm such a behind the scenes person. Like this right here, whatever. I could get on a plane and I could deliver the PAs, but this right here and giving people the opportunity to get personal with me, no, I wasn't doing that. But well, that's what I thought. But that changed too. So going back to the storyline, God gave me the opportunity to take a situation and a very puffed up situation, but it does a interesting spin on the opportunity to extend and or receive forgiveness. It has a small residue of true life as it relates to some of the things that happened in my life and my younger sister. But at the end of the day, the young lady made a decision and she thought it was the best decision at the time. And immediately afterwards, she realized it wasn't. But of course, the dominoes have already been tipped over and she couldn't take it back. So she goes through the process of 3.5 years, 4 years, um, dealing with this by herself. And she didn't even realize how much of her life that she was closing down on because of being concerned about what would be revealed if that truth came out, and the fact that she actually caused the situation. So she disrupted the life of herself and 3 other people directly. And she did not understand the gravity of that until 4.5 years later, going on to the young lady's 5th birthday. And basically, at the end of the day, we all will find ourselves in a situation where we get to be positioned at a place that we need to extend and or receive forgiveness. And of course, the choice is yours. But a lot of times when we're in those situations, we don't think about the ramifications of that choice, like if we choose to extend the forgiveness or not. Because I ask questions when I get to go to like book signings. One of my questions are, well, the 2 questions that I ask is this: who's been hurt? Like, right? Like most of us, if we take the time to think about, to some degree, to some level, we've all been hurt. We've all been disappointed. Now, the next question is, what was harder to forgive? The act, or the person? And how did you go about addressing yourself as it relates to the steps you need to take, or needed to take, to forgive that person in that situation? And what does that journey look like now? Like, did you get the closure that you need? Because sometimes, even if we tell ourselves that, okay, I know I'm supposed to give, so I forgive him, but I won't forget. If you make that comment that you'll never forget, you're giving yourself, how can I say it? It's like a justified, it's okay for me to still kind of hang on to that when it really isn't, because you're telling that thing that it has permission to linger around and show up at any time however it wants to. So the book gives you the opportunity, when you read along this journey with this young lady and the family that she indirectly disrupted, and tried to work her way of not changing it because she couldn't, but trying to bring some kind of healing to the family and herself. It may give you the opportunity to remember a situation, be it directly one that you experienced or someone that you knew, or be a reminder of a situation that, okay, you know what? I really didn't complete that process of forgiveness with that situation. And from there, that journey of that read, I've learned from my readers, because of what they're telling me, some of them didn't even realize a particular thing hurt them to the degree it hurt them until they were reading along with this young lady's story. So again, the first book is Farther Than the Eyes Can See, a book about redemption, forgiveness, and love, the love of man, the love of God. And the follow-up book to that first book will be You Taught Me. And that goes on to the second chances, because second chances is another thing that is directly or indirectly connected to forgiveness, because sometimes we can charge ourselves, be it directly, intentionally or not. And because we played whatever role we played in the situation, that ended up to the place that now we need to forgive or receive forgiveness, but we're not able to let go and allow ourselves a fresh start. So that, again, I didn't realize how helpful me writing those stories way back in 95 was for me, because when I mentioned that part of the storyline is a residue of truality for me, because at that time, God gave me a stroke scene situation. I had never directly been connected to a stroke scene or the life of someone in a recovery after a stroke. But in 2012, my mother came to visit one weekend and she never left. She was here for the weekend to visit with me, and she had a stroke on my watch. And the crazy thing about it is, from that Friday to that Sunday at midnight. My mother was having a some kind of stroke-like symptom going on in her body, but she never directly told us. She would call my sister in Kansas and tell her thing, and this all came out after the fact. My sister was like, "Yeah, mom called me this morning. She said this." My younger sister said that my mother had told her that Friday morning she woke up and her face was distraught, like disfigured a little bit, but she put her hand on her face and prayed, and God healed her and fixed it. And then she went on about her day. So all of that, she did all that running, ripping that Friday, and then that Saturday, and then right at the end of Saturday night when she was here with me, it all came to the forefront. And my mother had that stroke, and it affected her right side of her body, and she has been living with me ever since. I had no idea I was right in my part of my own healing way back in 1995. And so the forgiveness thing, I found that in this journey that I get to walk out with my mother, and I don't say live out because I don't live out the way she lived it. So I just walk beside her. There were elements about me learning to be and do exactly what she needed me to be and do, that it was a challenge for me to forgive myself for missing the mark on. And sometimes I still am in the process of like you in all reality dealing that you did the best you could with what you knew and what you had at the time that all this happened. Because again, I'm not a CNA. Like so I learned a whole lot on the fly with my mother. And I apologize to her a lot, not because of something I did wrong to her, but I saw my shortcomings as it relates to what I felt she needed of me and from me. So going back to the book, Farther Than the Eyes Can See, the inspiration for that book title comes from the message in the Bible, Matthew 6:33, where it talks about seek ye first the kingdom of God. Because again, even with my mother and other areas of my life, I did not always do that. And it reminded me that he has the answer to all of it. And it makes it a whole lot simpler for me to seek him on everything about my life than me thinking I could just do it on the fly and make it work. I found out firsthand that it doesn't work that way. So the books are available Amazon, or of course you could just take my name, take the title, and anywhere that you get your favorite books from. I will go ahead and put the information in the chat, and some of my information you may be able to see here on my background as it relates to Facebook and Instagram if you would like to connect with me. But again, forgiveness. When you get that chance to either extend it or receive it, how will you walk out and live out your role? Because it truly is a gift to you. Elizabeth?
Wow, it is truly a gift to you. Wow, that's amazing. Well, thank you so much. Get the books. They're available everywhere where books are sold, and we'll make sure that we have the links available to you as well. If you're watching this on a live channel or on demand, make sure you give Delanda a thumbs up. Go to her website, like her pages, write her a review, take a picture and snap it that you got the book, because then we know you're paying attention. And also it's a great gift to give someone as well. So get it. You're watching Brightside Global Trade TV. Make sure you subscribe so that we can give you tickets to our next event next month. And we look forward to seeing you all the time, 24/7. We're here watching for you to watch. Thank you so much.